Welcome to the Love Holistic Living podcast, your roadmap to heal and align mind, body, and soul and become intuitive through food, pleasure, and spirituality with your host and Italian friend, Sara. Signs from angels and how to decode them. In today's podcast episode, here with your Italian friend and spiritual healer with Love Holistic Living, we are going to be talking about something that is actually my favorite topic to talk about, which is an angel talk and how to decode the signs from the angels. Now, you may not believe in angels. I hope you do. But let's just say that there are signs from the universe. And I've always had a connection with angels since I was a little girl. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of my upbringing in Italy because it's kind of controversial how I got here. And it's also so interesting. And I think it's interesting because there is this higher power that we feel despite the way we're nurtured, the way we live through the family system, right? So before going into that, though, I just wanted to say how happy and honored I have been to run the California retreat here in California. This past August, it was amazing. Amazing. All the women were so happy. The group felt so good, so strong. And being able to see the shifts in the time we had together has been absolutely one of the most precious thing in life. I mean, this is what and why I do what I do is to witness the transformation in women when they release, let go, and embody and activate their new frequency. If you're ever interested in participating in the one day or in one of the retreats that we organize here at Love Holistic Living, I will add the link below so you can check that out and join the wait list so that you're the first one to get notified. Right now, we have on the schedule in September an online workshop that is the Healing Circle experience that will happen online for all the people that can't travel or that can't afford the retreats. So make sure that you check that and that you save your spot because I will be able to answer all of your questions live. I do not respond to DMs on Instagram or TikTok, and I receive 20 a day, if not 50. And I will be able to answer your questions live. Then we will be able to help you with releasing the blocks that are preventing you from experiencing love, abundance, happiness, peace, freedom. And also, you will be able to meet your soul tribe. So make sure that you check that link down below. It's actually the first one that I am doing in a year time. I don't know what will happen after this. So maybe this could be the only time you can get in with this ticket price. And I would love to meet you as well as my spirit team. All right, let's get back to the podcast episode with a little bit of a background of how I grew up in Italy. And I'm really referring about spirituality here. So the funny background is that I was born and raised in Italy. And all my parents, my parents and my aunties and uncles, grandparents, they were all baptized. They all, there's the Pope in Italy, so everybody is Catholic. And my parents at an adult age decided to become atheist. So they did not baptize my brothers and I. And they left us the free choice every time when growing up. I was like, why didn't you baptize me? I really wanted to be baptized. And they were like, you will make your choice. What I loved about that was that they didn't ask me to pursue anything, but they also left me all the freedom to pursue whatever I wanted. So I wanted to be baptized. They're like, we're not going to do that until you're 18. Then you can make your own choice. But if you want to go to church, go to church. If you want to go to summer camp with the church, go to summer camp with the church. And so I was raised Catholic, even though I wasn't baptized. It's kind of like interesting background because I felt this deep connection to Jesus Christ and to the angels realm and to Mother Mary. And since I was a very young age, and since I was a little girl, I saw angels. I was so drawn to angel wings, and I think I mentioned it before, as a natural born clairvoyant, I used to see them in my bedroom. And I used to ask, for a Jesus Christ picture and Mother Mary, and I used to pray. And they never taught me anything, right? My parents. But what I loved is that they allowed me to have the freedom to explore my spiritual and religious inclination. And so at first, because I couldn't really talk to my parents about this, I was really scared that I used to see this like people with wings, right? And I didn't actually sleep alone until I was about after 7, and never fell asleep by myself until like 14 years old. So my mom had to come into my bedroom and put me to sleep, like lay there with me, because seeing spirit or feeling spirit, it was really scary at the time. And I didn't know, like I remember being clairvoyant means that you see. Like you don't just perceive, you see someone at the door. And as a little girl, I was like, I didn't know how to talk to people about it because obviously you feel crazy. And then I was just scared. So besides that, all my life I've had this connection with angels and archangels, and that's who I work with primarily. Fast forward to when I was 19 years old and I was in Australia. I lived there for about a year. And I remember that I went jogging one night, and it was in this like neighborhood that it was like kind of new neighborhood where nobody actually went out, like new homes, new neighborhood. There's nobody around. There's really not a nighttime life over there. And so I just went jogging. It was like 7 p.m. It was dark though. And I came across to a roundabout, and this tree that was in the roundabout caught on fire. It was like a emerald green fire with like a specific sound of like a firework, right? And I jumped backwards. I was like, oh my God, like what is happening? I thought something caught on fire. There was fireworks. I was just scared because I saw it with like my eyes. So I looked around. Obviously nobody was there. So I was like, okay, let me go and check. Maybe they're doing some work. They're putting some lights on. So I went to touch a tree, and literally like a couple of feet before, this tree caught on like this, it looked like green emerald fire. Caught on fire. I call it caught on fire because literally I see this fire that it's green. And I jump backwards again. And at that point, I'm like scared, like if I saw a snake right in front of me. I came over a couple of seconds, and then I ran away to my friend's house, and I told him what happened. And he handed me a little book of angels, and he said, well, I think this archangel was trying to contact you. I looked it up, and it was Archangel Raphael. Now, from that moment on, I realized that's who I've always felt close to. Obviously, Archangel Michael as well. But as a healer and the healing abilities run in my family, like he was always there. And from that moment, I started to build this relationship with Archangel Raphael. And it was so vivid with my 3D eyes that it felt so profound, and it felt such an awesome sign from the angel realm that I was on the spiritual path, that I was meant to do this, that something big was happening. And I was literally deep in my healing journey. That's when, after that, I went into an ashram, a spiritual community, and I started living there and practicing meditations. And that's when my biggest, or at least the first spiritual activation, spiritual healing happened. And I've learned the base of my work that I do today. So that is a little bit of a background of the interesting story of my life. And I love working with angels. I mean, they are so close to me, and I feel so close to them. And if you feel this way too, let's go into kind of like the 10 ways. Today we're going to explore 10 that you may be aware that are communicating to you, or that they are communicating. They're there for you. So let's talk about number 1, which is the angel numbers. Now, the 444, 222, 111. And I remember that before this episode, like before recording this episode, I looked at the clock when I thought about like creating this episode, and it was 111. And I was like, okay, great. This is what I'm meant to be doing today. So I want you to know that seeing the angelic numbers, repeated numbers, 111, 222, 333, 444, whether it's on the watch or the clock on the computer, or, on the car plate, it's a sign that they're protecting you, that you're on the right track. It's a sign that you are on the right track. So it is an encouragement towards a question that you might have asked, or you may be asking, or you may be going through. And they're there to tell you that you are on the right track. Let's just say that you just made a decision to break up with a friend, break up with your ex, and you see the angel's number. It's a confirmation that it was meant to happen, that everything will be okay. Like, I decided to do this podcast episode, and I just saw the 111. It was a confirmation I was meant to do this. Now, the second sign here is the animal kingdom. Some people are really tuned into the animal kingdoms, like my daughter is. I am, maybe not as much as angels, numbers, and feathers, which we'll talk about, but it's a specific animal that comes to you in a particular moment in time. And I want you to know that everything is decodable, which means that the spiritual journey is a very personal journey, and you need to decode the signs of what that means for you at the end of the day. So, for example, let's just say you constantly see butterflies. Butterflies are a sign of rebirth as well as hope. And I have so many butterflies in my garden that every time like someone walks by, or even like clients are like, that you have fairies, right? That you have this like earthy little being living in your yard, because no one else's yard around here looks like yours. So it is a sign for me of the like earth kingdom, but also a sign of rebirth and hope. Everything will be okay. But you may be seeing like a hawk, or we were doing this California retreat. At the retreat, and these women, they decided to go on a little hike all together, and they suddenly saw a tarantula. What are the odds that they decide to go and they see a tarantula in the middle of August? And so I remember that someone in the group looked it up, and it had a beautiful meaning. I don't quite remember it right now, but that was really appropriate for what they were experiencing. So things like that happen all the time. You just need to be open to receive that. If a bee comes your way, which bee is a sign of abundance, like receive that. Don't just say, like, don't disregard the signs. And we'll talk about that. Disregarding the signs may actually be pushing them away. And then you may feel disconnected because you're not being grateful for what it sent to you. That can happen with crows. That can happen even a snake. And snake has a very powerful meaning of sexual energy and dark feminine energy that is being awakened. And one of my favorite story about seeing a snake was at the ashram. So I was in Australia, right? I was living in this spiritual community. And I do remember the embarrassing experience that we had beans and they were not properly cooked. And I had to literally use the bathroom, like quite often. My tummy wasn't feeling really good. And it was a nighttime. We're talking about 2 a.m. at night. And the bathrooms were outside. We were staying in cabins and the communal bathrooms were outside. We had compost toilets. You had to use a headlight. We're in the tropical forest of Australia. And I had been there for 3 months. And besides leeches and spiders, I didn't see anything else. But I went to the bathroom that night and I was going through my spiritual journey, and these stairs were clogged by this huge python. It's the biggest python I've ever seen in my life. You can't even see a python that big in a zoo. It was so big. Like, I can't even tell you, like huge. The ones that you see in movies. That I was in shock for literally about 10 seconds, if not more. When the world, like the moment stops, it feels like the world is ending and you stay there like you're not breathing. You're just in shock because I am so like scared of snakes. And at the time I was more scared than what I am now. And after Australia, I've seen so many snakes that my fear went a little bit down. But just to let you know, that seeing a huge python at 19 years old in the middle of the, tropical forest in Australia at 2 a.m. in the morning was one of the most terrifying moments of my life. Everybody was asleep. So what I did, obviously, I ran back to my room and I didn't use that bathroom for the next week. But it was a sign of my connection with my sexual energy. My Kundalini energy, because we were doing Kundalini rising a lot. And that was a sign, yet I was like, come on, universe, really? So be open to receive the signs of the universe through the animal kingdom. All right, let's move on to number 3, which is actually my favorite, which is feathers, especially white feathers. And the reason why you may be seeing a feather is literally because an angel's placed it there. An angel is letting you know that you are supported and protected. I've received feathers all of my life, and they're very specific, these feathers. They're not big, they're small and fluffy and soft. Very tiny, like probably the size of my thumb or smaller, or the nail of my thumb. And they are in specific places. Like as I'm walking in front of my door, in front of the rug, the entrance rug, like being placed there when I'm running, and it's not like where the birds are, right? It's literally in odd places. They're like, how did you get here? And you feel it. I feel that's the connection with angel. That was an angel that placed it there to let me know that I'm protected and that I'm supported. So let me know if you've ever, seen white feathers, you find white feathers, angels numbers, or the animal kingdoms? I would love to know, and make sure that you rate this. Give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying this episode. This is one of my favorite topic. But let's go into number 4, which is rainbows. Now, we all know how rainbows scientifically are formed after the storm, but if you can see the spiritual sign behind this, that is more of a sign that hardship is over, then you can get really in tune with the universe. So seeing a rainbow is that you've just crossed this huge momentum or stage in your life that maybe was really hard, and there is a new stage that is coming your way, and it feels really, really good and more at ease. There is an ease to it that it's coming. Hardship is over. Number 5 are direct messages that come through the form of, let's just say, like very specific, like boards, like advertisement boards, and there is a word or two that you need to see, and you know that that's meant for you. Or you open a book and you're visually seeing the sign on an advertisement board, a magazine, on anything that it's written. And just to give you an example, 3 years ago, I had considered to go to Sedona for a personal retreat. I was kind of unsure because I didn't have a lot of money, barely no money at the time. And I remember that's how they communicate to you. I was opening Instagram, and my friend went. I wasn't even looking at Sedona. And I opened my Instagram, and like all of this advertisement of Sedona came up, and it wasn't, you may say, oh, that is just how they track you now, right? That's data. You might have clicked something. But then I was opening up stories of, the people to see IG stories. Everybody was in Sedona. I mean, how can you make that up? Everybody was in Sedona in that moment of my life. And I was like, it's clear. I have to go to Sedona. So I'm going to book this, and please, universe, support me. So again, don't try to rationalize it with, it was the data, they're tracking you, it's advertisement tracking. Because when I looked at IG stories and all my friends were like, I'm in Sedona, I'm in Sedona, I'm in Sedona. And I'm like, I have to go to Sedona. And then you feel it so strongly that was a message that you were meant to hear in that moment. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And let's just say that you want to go to Italy, and then you start seeing all these places in Italy, and you're like, I have to go there. And maybe there is a transformation that you have to receive, right, in that place, or Bali or Peru, and follow that. That's all I can tell you. Now, number 6 is finding coins. I'm sure that you find coins. I mean, I find coins all the time. For one, the simple reason that my kids spread coins in the house. I don't know how they do it. I find coins everywhere, in the washing machine, in the kitchen, in the bathroom. But besides that, I find coins also, let's just talk about the fact that you find coins like at the hospital, like in the street, at a cafe, right? I think the most interesting place was at the hospital, and it happens always in Italy. And it's so interesting. But they're meant to show you, to let you know that there is positive change coming your way. Abundance, but also positive change. It is connected to abundance. Obviously, coins is money, and money is literally coming your way. So there's a positive change with that. Abundance is coming your way. And I love receiving those reminders. Now, number 7 is scent. A scent, like a smell, like you're let's just say that you're sitting in your backyard and suddenly you smell this scent. Whether you know this or not, you know this about a person. Maybe it's your grandma's perfume, or maybe you don't know. You smell like a smell you've never smelled before. I'm going to tell you what that means. If for some reason you smell a scent that you know, that means that a loved one is there with you, is either passing by or they're there with you. And sometimes I've smelled like my grandma or my grandpa before. Or I remember and I'm going to tell you the story of this friend of mine that was at my kid's birthday party in my backyard. And suddenly, and she has intuitive abilities, she's like, I smell cigar. Nobody obviously smokes here, especially around kids. But in general, nobody was smoking, especially a cigar. And obviously, I didn't want to freak everybody out at the birthday party who doesn't know I'm a psychic. But, I looked at her and then I said, oh, I think you just smell like there is a ghost around probably that is walking by. She had a lot of like mediumship abilities that she had to explore at the time. And again, you may be having mediumship abilities. So you may be sensing someone who is past that is not connected to your ancestors. Again, if you don't recognize the scent. Now, number 8 is lines in music and or TV shows, TV and or movies you must watch. Like you have a craving for a certain movie, you constantly hear this music, this line of a music. And just to give you an example, like they speak to you through that, and don't ever second guess that, because I remember that there was this person in my life, which was actually my twin flame, and it wasn't going to end well between me and him. We were not meant to be together, and we were also going in major cycles. And there was this, I think the song is from Post Malone, Circles, and this song kept popping up, even like throughout the 3 years mark that we would see each other back and forth. And I knew that when this person was about to contact me, this song would pop up 48 hours before. Again, you must decode the signs here, because for you, it might be a different song. For you, it might be a different time frame. But I just had cracked the meaning, and it was always so spot on. And I haven't heard this song ever since this person left my life. How funny is that? Next one is dreams. So your angels may be trying to communicate you through dreams, so pay attention to those dreams. They may be showing you something, and or they may show up in your dreams. And dreams are such a, I would say, different realm. We have a lot of subconscious, but let's just say that it feels usually really good. I just want you to understand that when angels work with you, it definitely feels expanding. It feels supportive, the energy. It feels loving. Like when I was dreaming, one time I felt someone was hugging me, but this hug was the most angelic hug I've ever received. Like I knew someone was there and hugging me. And then that morning I actually found a feather, right? I knew that was an angel. So remember that angels will feel so good. And if you wake up or if you have a dream where it doesn't feel good, that's not an angelic message, okay? That's something else. So make sure that you join that online event that's happening in September so that you can ask me all these questions and we can channel that for you. But the last one, actually number 10, is humans and animals helper. This is different than the animal kingdom. This is angels maybe working through you through like real people in this 3D world. Have you ever met someone you're like, I feel like that person is coming from the angelic realm, is an angelic being? And or you have a pet that feels like a protector. I once had a cat that I found when I was 9 years old. I was in Italy, and she was my favorite being. And I knew she was human but angelic. Like I knew that in that cat, there was an angel that was protecting me, and that was my best friend. Like, have you ever had that feeling? I'm pretty sure you have. Or there is another example, and one of my clients said, it was so bizarre, but I knew it was true. I was at the gas station, and then this beautiful woman, like for a second, it was kind of like someone walked into her, an angel, and she started beaming at a very high frequency. She said something like a message to her, and then she snapped out of it, and she was just like, so do you want to buy this? And my client was like, you just asked me about this. And the person behind the counter was like, I didn't ask you anything, right? So that's when the angel comes in and says, it impersonates like a person and then leaves. But it was a message that my client needed to receive in that moment. And I don't remember the specific completely. She tells a better story than I do, but I want you to know that some people, like, you see them and they literally feel like you're talking to an angel, but it's an angel that it's impersonating a person. And then the angel leaves. And then that person it becomes normal again, right? And that person didn't remember what she said to my client. So very bizarre. I love all of these stories. If you have a story, please email it at info@saragarofalo.com. We will look at it, and don't forget to join the online class, the workshop, the online healing circle experience. We will see you there. Again, we'll answer your questions. We'll give you energy healing, and you will meet your soul tribe. Support your way. And whatever you need to release, feel free to release it during that event. We are so excited, and thank you for joining us today.